Yo, so this is Kieran and we are doing another debate video, another reaction video. This is for part 2 of the debate between Sadia Khan and Matthew Hussey. If you have not seen the first video, go back and watch that. It should be the last video on this channel. And let's get cracking.
Do you think that they are lacking in self-blame or lacking in self-compassion?
I would say they're lacking in self-accountability. I really think it's because...
But if they had more compassion for themselves, they would get to a point where they would no longer want to tolerate that, because if you have true compassion for yourself, you don't put yourself in harm's way. I would say the step that you're removing or saying is not important or is even wrong is actually the thing that's been missing all along that person needs.
Sometimes the compassion can lead them into thinking, I know I'm so wounded, I can't be alone. I know I'm like this person who's always been alone, I can't grow up homeless. That compassion for themselves has made them understand how needy they can be. And sometimes we want to shift that compassion to, okay, action. I understand this is all the reasons, but excessive self-compassion can lead to people being stagnant.
I think that's incomplete self-compassion.
Yeah.
Self-compassion is, I understand why I am the way I am. I can view myself holistically, even on my worst days, and contextually within everything I've ever been through. And instead of taking all of these things that I do wrong in life, my regrets, my shame, my insecurities, and using them to actually hurt myself, which is what staying in an abusive or toxic relationship is, I'm going to have true compassion for myself, which is I'm going to accept these parts of myself and I'm going to make it my mission to give myself a better life, instead of thinking that I deserve this punishment or that I deserve this kind of treatment or that this is all I'm worthy of.
It's not about deserving
Or
it, right?
It's all I'm worthy of. Or this all I'm worthy of. Self-compassion is both accepting yourself holistically and then also accepting the responsibility for taking care of yourself. You know, so I see there's to me, there's nothing, the kind of thing you're talking about still isn't true self-compassion.
It's more self-understanding is what I'm trying to say. What am I missing?
There's, what you're saying is if someone is, you're saying I'm excusing myself treating myself horribly and someone else treating myself horribly because of what I've been through.
But compassion without responsibility leads to stagnation.
I think compassion leads to responsibility.
Perhaps in the way, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what true self-compassion means. But I genuinely think what will ignite me personally, and I can't speak for everybody, and also even sometimes when I speak to clients, my focus is, okay, forgive yourself for this behavior. You've grown up like this. You're homeless sometimes, or you had abusive parents. You forgive yourself for accepting the abuse, but now what? And then the now what parts is, does that mean for the rest of your life you're going to accept this? Now you're self-selecting. If your childhood is your self-compassionate part, your adulthood is your self-selection. So your adult life has to be moving from that compassionate state to that accountable state.
So something that's quite interesting about this debate is that it highlights something that I say to people all the time. Let me say this again. Something that's quite interesting about this debate is that it highlights something that I've been saying to people for a while, which is that language isn't perfect. And what I mean by that is, Matthew Hussey is using the term compassion, right? Sadia is speaking about accountability and self-respect. Matthew is triggered by her use of accountability and self-respect because he feels that by speaking about accountability and self-respect, she's removing the compassion. She isn't triggered like he is, but at the same time, she feels that by him speaking about compassion, he's not taking into account accountability and self-respect. So from Matthew Hussey's perspective, compassion basically means that some woman, some man has been in a relationship with somebody and that person treated them really badly, treated them terribly, right? Horrible things happened. They should then have compassion for themselves for being in this horrible situation and say, you know what happened to me, it was a bad thing, it was a terrible thing, but I'm going to try and move forward, but I'm going to start from a place of, this was not my fault. Sadia is basically saying, no, you got to look and you got to see what you did to cause this situation, and you need to have respect for yourself to not get yourself into another situation like that again, to make whatever changes are necessary. Matthew believes that by her saying that, what she's basically saying is, screw compassion, you've just got to slap yourself in the face and get the job done, and almost beat yourself up like an army drill sergeant for not living up to this ideal that you were meant to live up to. Sadia suspects that Matthew is basically saying that actually what you need to do is you don't need to focus on bettering yourself at all. You just need to be, woe is me, all is right with me, all is right with the world, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm great. There's nothing else that I need to do because this bad thing actually happened to me. But the funny thing is they're both kind of saying the same thing. They're just wording it differently. So Matthew isn't saying that you shouldn't work on yourself at all. He's saying that you should, but he's saying that the desire to work on yourself comes from inherently having compassion for yourself. And because you have compassion for who you are as a person, you then want the best for yourself. Sadia frames the same thing as saying that self-respect, i.e. I respect myself to a degree. And because I respect myself and I hold myself to a certain standard, I'm going to do that anyway. But they're pretty much saying the same thing. Matthew is saying, I have compassion for myself. And because I have compassion and I'm compassionate about the person in the mirror, I want that person to be good. Therefore, I'm going to do the best for that person. Sadia is saying, I respect the person in the mirror. I hold the person in the mirror to a good standard. I like this person in the mirror. I do not see the person in the mirror as being someone who deserves negative outcomes in life. Ergo, I'm going to do what I can for that person. But they are both saying the same thing. However, they don't really realize that they're saying the same thing. This actually happens a lot, by the way. This happens a lot. This happens all the time in conversations, friendships, relationships, dating, all these kinds of things. You will be with someone and you're saying one thing, but they're not hearing the specific thing that you're saying. Like, they're hearing what they're interpreting your words to mean. You know, so you can say to someone, hey, you look hot. And to you, that's a compliment. But to them, you saying that they look hot, that's an insult because you're demeaning them and saying that they're not intelligent. Whereas you just use the word hot, H-O-T. In your head, hot has a meaning. In their head, hot has a different meaning. And you kind of get into a misunderstanding and an argument based on your own literal interpretations of the word hot rather than the literal meaning that you had behind the word hot. There we go.
They always live in hand in hand, though. We're going to need self-compassion
forever.
100,000 more times. I'm going to make so many more mistakes. There are going to be so many. My instinct is self-tyranny. That's not,
your brain hates
self-tyranny. If you want to say that's like responsibility, it's made me miserable for half my life, is constantly thinking that I need to go out and I need to do this and I need to take responsibility for this and so on, and never offering myself self-compassion. Self-compassion is something I need 1,000 times a day, and I give myself twice a week if I'm not careful. So I'm going to need that many more times. And that allied with taking accountability is an unbelievably potent combination. But the accountability without the compassion is a mandate for self-tyranny.
Would you imagine that taking accountability and making better choices then creates self-compassion because you're leading a life that is more constructive?
Well, I don't think one leads to the other automatically at all. I mean, I've never, in all the days I've worked...
I'm sorry to keep talking about this. I don't mean to keep talking.
Sadia, this is what you brought us here for. What do you think you set this up for?
So what I'm hearing you say...
I don't mean to keep going in circles.
It sounds like you both think self-compassion and responsibility are important.
Yeah, but maybe the wrong way around. Maybe we think it the wrong way around.
What you just said, that doesn't taking responsibility lead to self-compassion? It actually doesn't. I challenge everyone in the audience to tell me if they think otherwise. You leave a comment and tell me. But I have found that I've worked hard most days of my life. And every day I get to the end of the day and it doesn't make me more compassionate towards myself. Every day I get to the end of the day and I say, I'll see you in 6 hours when I'm going to put you through your paces again and take you to boot camp all over again. And every morning, my pattern in my life has been waking up in deficit and thinking, I need to go and kill myself today, working hard so that I've earned my rent.
But why do you feel you need to do that every day?
Because I lack self-compassion. That's the point, is that without self-compassion, I can put myself in a cycle of abuse my whole life.
So Matthew is actually making quite an interesting point. So what he's basically saying is this: it is totally possible to take action and to do the things that you need to do, going to the gym, for instance, but you're doing it from a place of self-hatred, where you're not really being compassionate with yourself. You're not doing it from a loving place. You're doing it to beat yourself up. For instance, imagine you've got some overweight person who's in the gym and she steps into the gym and she sees all of these toned, fit, young, sexy bodies there, and she feels really insecure, and she's morbidly obese, let's say. And she hates being there. She does not feel comfortable. She is wearing clothes that put her body on show. She feels like people are judging her every time they look at her. She doesn't want to be there, but she continues to go. However, she's doing it from a aggressive place, a place of self-aggression. So she's looking in the mirror and she's saying, you fat bastard, you fat bitch, you fat slut, come on, let's fucking go, you horrible, 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 fat piece of shit. She's saying all of that to herself. And she's saying all of that to herself. And it's not good. And it's a very miserable experience. But she is actually getting it done. She does little by little by little, month by month by month, make changes. And Matthew is saying that it is possible to work on yourself from a place like that. But the thing is this: well, he's not really realizing that Sadia is saying is that Sadia isn't actually saying that. Because in Matthew's example, this overweight woman is pushing herself because she hates herself and she's punishing herself. Sadia is basically saying that this overweight woman realizes that she deserves better, and that she is just living in line with the level of self-respect that she has for herself. So rather than looking in the mirror and being like, I'm a horrible, overweight piece of whatever, and she just settles for that kind of lifestyle, and rather than being like, I'm going to beat myself up because I've allowed myself to get to this point, and I really need to punish myself and punish and punish and punish. She's not doing either. It's just, I deserve better and I'm living in line with what I deserve. I deserve this, ergo I am moving towards this is because this is what I actually deserve. So fundamentally, they're kind of saying the same thing, but again, they don't realize it.
So it's self-compassion is a vital component, and then the accountability that can arise out of that is not only something that allows us to solve problems, but it's also then you're doing it from a very healing place. You're not doing it from a place of self-hatred. You can take responsibility your whole life from a place of self-hatred, and many people do. Yeah. How many people come into adulthood and for the rest of their lives they work hard and they push themselves and they're hard on themselves and they are masters of taking responsibility, but they spend their whole lives miserable and hating themselves and never feeling good enough. Self-compassion is the magic that means that when you are accountable, accountability is done from love, not from fear or hatred.
Okay. And I would personally, I think I underestimate the power of self-compassion. I replace it with self-respect. And for me, the fundamental ingredient in both your mental health and the way you treat others comes from self-respect. And how I gain self-respect is by making accountable and productive decisions in every area of my life, whether it's the food I eat, whether it's the time I wake up, or whether it's the partner I select, and it's how I treat them. Now, self-compassion is secondary to self-respect.
It's first.
To me.
It comes first.
To me.
Let me tell you why it comes first.
I'm so sorry.
Let me tell you why it comes first. No, this is an important
Before you say why it goes first, I want you to finish the thought.
So
then you can say
here's
why
the
it goes
thing.
first. So why is it?
Because here's the thing. I can live a very constructive and treat other people very well when I respect myself. The reason why self-respect is so important is that not only does it enhance my self-esteem, and what I mean by self-respect is responsible, actionable decisions, accountable decisions, making good, sensible decisions.
Boundaries also
Boundaries.
included?
I respect myself. And in order to
Now, is this also loving yourself and for the mistakes you've made in the past?
Respecting is more important than loving. And the reason I say that is loving myself might involve booking a vacation, going to a spa, and eating pizza in the evening. Respecting myself is understanding that those are actually self-indulgence. Better thing might be to do is to wake up early, go to the gym, eat no carbs for the day, and have no sugar and sleep early. That's not loving. I don't love doing those things, but I respect myself when I do those things. And the reason why self-respect is so important to me is, I'm not saying I abide by this, but it's so important in relationships. Once we respect ourselves, we're able to respect others and only allow those that respect us into our lives. Self-compassion makes us not only compassionate for ourselves, it can then make me think, well, he's probably been, I have endless clients that come to me and say, I've been through this, I've been through that, I've been through this. But then he's also had an abusive father and that's why he hits me.
So Sadia says something quite fascinating. She says that having love for herself means that she might go and book herself a holiday or eat some chocolate or something like this, or maybe get a massage or order a pizza or these sorts of things. Whereas self-respect means that she might go to the gym or she might eat healthily and she'll do various things that she knows are good for herself because she respects herself. This is what I mean when I say people getting hung up on language, because Matthew is going to say that having love for yourself doesn't mean doing negative things. He's going to say that having love for yourself means doing positive things which are good for yourself. He said that's what true love is. So what's the effect of, if you love something, you know, they say if you love someone, you have to let them go. Why are you letting them go? You're letting them go because presumably you're not right for that person and you want what is best for that person. So you let this person go because you actually love them, which would be doing the hard thing, even though it doesn't necessarily feel good, because what would feel good is keeping them close to you and having them in your life. So, but that's not what Sadia is taking love to mean. She's taking love to mean, hey, if you love somebody, buy them a fur coat. If you love someone, order them a massage. You know, like the fun little indulgences, as she put it. But that's not really what he means. So what she's speaking about in terms of self-respect, he basically believes that stuff like that comes from love. And what she's speaking about when she says love, well, that's not what he's saying when he's speaking about self-love. So again, their wires are crossed and it's quite intriguing to see.
She grew up in an unstable home and that's why she cheats on me. Self-compassion can lead to you mirroring that in others and making excuses for poor behavior. Self-respect leads to you mirroring self-respect in others and only allowing those that respect you in your life.
Okay.
See Matthew like breathing intensely over here.
So many things to say about so let's just handle the last point first.
Self-respect over self-compassion.
Absolutely, yeah.
You said compassion can be really dangerous, and compassion can be really dangerous in relationships,
in the wrong hands,
especially in narcissistic or abusive relationships. Yes. Compassion can be weaponized against you, but the only way compassion for others can be weaponized against you is if you have no self-compassion. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is still king, because if you can't have self-compassion, then you will have an outward compassion that gets weaponized against you.
What if your self-compassion has you thinking, this is why I act toxic, so I can understand why somebody's toxic to me?
Of course, but you're not going to, being compassionate, that still doesn't mean being compassionate towards yourself means allowing someone to do that to you.
Or you doing it to others. You can also be a hazard to others when you're compassionate with yourself for why you are so flawed.
Well, you have to have a compassion with yourself. I'm not saying compassion is devoid of responsibility.
It's just saying it has to come first.
But it's a precursor, because the self-respect point is a dangerous one, because if I don't, on the days where I don't do things that make me respect myself, like let's say I sleep in, let's say I forget to I don't go to the gym, let's say I eat a bunch pizza, of junk, let's say the days I don't respect myself, those are actually the days I need self-compassion the most.
Mm-hmm.
Self-compassion actually is the foundation on which tomorrow I do better. There is a bit...
What if that becomes your constant state?
A couple of things becoming confused because there's... To me, the deepest level of confidence...
I'm so sorry. We can make this the whole podcast.
The deepest level of confidence... I write about this in my book. The deepest level of confidence is unconditional self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding you're human. You shouldn't ever wish for another because you don't get another. You are the only person you get. And your job in this life, above all other jobs, is to give yourself the best life you can.
Yeah.
And you start by a radical acceptance of who you are today, based on everything you've been through, right? You accept. Self-acceptance is different from self-esteem. What you call self-respect, I call self-esteem.
Yeah.
Self-esteem, self-respect is built by doing hard things. Now, that's a great way to build a sense of confidence, but it's a separate thing from self-compassion.
All right. This raises a very interesting question. So this is how I'm interpreting what they're saying. What I'm hearing Matthew say is that self-compassion is what is going to push you to be the best person. Let me go again. Editor, stop and let's go again. This is quite interesting because I'm hearing two separate viewpoints, two separate ideologies. What I'm hearing Matthew basically say is that self-compassion, having compassion for yourself, is effectively what will cause you to want to better yourself in your situation. So let's say, again, I've been using the gym analogy, but I'm supposed to go to the gym. Let's say I'm actually supposed to go to the gym today, like directly after this. But let's say that I don't do it, right? I do not go to the gym. And my opinion of myself will diminish somewhat if I don't go. That is the truth. But what he's saying is, all right, so going to the gym is an act of self-respect. I don't go, therefore I feel bad about myself. Now I've got to have compassion for myself, compassion for the man in the mirror, and be like, you know what, Kieran, it's okay. I accept you. I accept that you're not perfect, and tomorrow we can do better. And that from that fundamental basis of having compassion for myself as a human being, I will want to have the best version of life that I can for myself. What Sadia is basically saying is the opposite. She's basically saying, or she's suspecting that if I go to the gym, if I don't go to the gym, I'm supposed to go to the gym, but I don't go. And I'm like, Kieran, it's all right. It's okay, because I have compassion for you. Then what I'm basically doing is giving myself permission to not go again. You see? So effectively, it's like this. If you've got someone who is abusing his wife or abusing her husband, if she has compassion for herself, then what's going to happen? Will that compassion lead her to come up with excuses as to why it's okay for her to continue to hit her husband or continue to hit his girlfriend? Because, it happened to him when he was younger. It happened to her when she was younger. All men are like this, all women are like this, ergo that's actually okay. Or would that self-compassion actually make them go, you know what? I ain't gonna do that again, because now that I realize I love myself, I don't have the need to do that anymore. It's kind of a question I've asked myself. It's a question I've asked myself in the past as well. Because effectively it's like, why do you... Like, right now, I'm about to go to the gym. A huge part of why I'm about to go to the gym is because I want to be big and strong. But why is that? Because I want to look a certain way and I want to have a certain degree of status in society. That is actually the truth. And then it's like, all right, well, if working out wasn't going to give me any status, would I still want to do it? Not as much. That is the truth, you know? And if let's say I don't go to the gym today and I didn't care about the fact that I didn't go, would I still have the drive to continue to go? Would I still do it if it was just a case of, I accept myself, and because I accept myself, let's go to this gym? I don't really know. And I get where both of them are coming. I get where both of them are coming. So Matthew effectively believes that if push comes to shove, true compassion will compel you to do the best that you can for yourself. Whereas Sadia doesn't necessarily think that. And now it's like, honestly, I at first thought that they were saying the same thing. And I think they kind of are. There's like huge overlaps in what they're saying. There is. But when I really think about what Sadia is saying, and I hear like respect, I have respect for myself. There's a certain firmness that I see when she speaks about having respect for herself. Whereas when Matthew's speaking about having compassion, I hear like a certain softness. Like there's a firmness to her saying respect, and there's a softness to him saying compassion. And while I see huge overlaps between two, I don't think they are actually fundamentally the same thing. Even though I did say that earlier. I think they're largely the same thing, but I don't think they're completely the same thing. And oh no, because I feel less confident now than I did at the beginning. So it's like, which is actually best? You know what? I feel like it's probably different for different people. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all approach. I think it's like if you're a football manager and you've got a player, or you've got two players and they're underperforming, one player is going to respond to being screamed at, and one player is going to respond to having an arm around the shoulder. And you have to know which person is which player is which type of person. I think it's a similar sort of thing. I don't think everybody, I think beating yourself up and bang, 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 punch, punch, uppercut, I don't think anybody needs that, okay, which neither of them is saying that you should do. But do I think everybody needs the compassionate route? I have compassion for myself and, I don't know. Or do I think everybody needs I respect myself and I hold myself to a standard? I don't know. Because it's like, you look at the two of them, you look at Sadia, she clearly respects herself a lot. It's clear. Like clear. And it's funny because you can just look at this woman and you can tell a lot about this woman. It's like, she would not put up with any rubbish at all. But here's the funny thing though, it's like, you get with her and you mistreat her, she's going to leave. And you don't even have to do anything too bad. She will just leave. She's not going to shout. She's not going to make a scene. She's not going to stomp her foot down. She's just going to excuse herself from the situation. You try and get her to do something that doesn't align with one of her values, she will excuse herself from the situation. She holds herself to a standard and she has self-respect. She's like, I respect myself. She has feminine energy, but when she speaks about respect, it's like there's a strength and there's almost like a slightly masculine quality. Matthew Hussey, on the other hand, he speaks about compassion as, you know what I mean? You feel like a softness. And then there's almost, he's a man, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's like feminine, but when he speaks about compassion, there's a softness and there's a feminine energy that kind of underpins that. So it's interesting to see the two clash of these ideologies, because fundamentally they're both dating coaches. Well, Sadia's relationships, I don't know if Hussey is relationships or not. I think he's dating, but whatever. Similar sort of sphere. They're both very successful, but ideologically they're quite opposed in a way. It's weird. It's like they're the same fundamentally. Like they fundamentally are saying the same things, but there's a key difference to how it actually comes about. Does your desire to do the best that you can for yourself come from, it's okay, man, it's okay? Or does it come from, I respect myself and I ain't gonna tolerate that. I respect myself, so I'm going to do this. Whoa, I wasn't speaking into my mic. I respect myself, so I ain't gonna tolerate that. I respect myself, so I ain't gonna do this. I know. But anyway, I feel like this is a very good place to end the video. So if you have enjoyed this, then I've enjoyed having you here. What would I like you to do? I'd like you to like this video. I'd like you to comment. Freaking comment. I want to know what you think about all of this. Am I onto something? Am I chatting rubbish? Am I spitting facts? Am I spitting game? Talk to me, because I don't know. But yeah, man, so like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. Go to the description because there's special goodies for you. I may, let me see. Nah, I was gonna say I may do another video on this debate, but I don't think so now, because I'm basically at the end of the end. I was gonna say that I think I'll do another video on this debate, but actually no, because I'm pretty much at the end of the debate. But thank you for your time. Thank you. Goodbye. See you later. Au revoir. Toodaloo and ciao.